Okay, everyone, you're all very welcome again to this evening's webinar. This one's on accessing funding locally through your club. So, as I say, you're all very welcome along this evening. My name is Niall Mulrain. I'm a National Development Officer with the LGFA, and we've also delighted to have Aisling Hubbard here. Aisling, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Aisling Hubbard. I previously worked with the LGFA and stuff, but I'm working as the coordinator in Wicklow Sports Partnership at the moment.
Yeah, thanks, Aisling. So Aisling's going to be taking us through the bulk of this evening's session. But really, just to begin, we're going to get you involved straight away, and I'd like you just to click on a wee poll here for us, and it's just to let us know, have you or has your club been in receipt of any kind of funding this year, or have you applied for any kind of funding this year? So there's a wee poll should be on your screens now, and we'll give you about 30 seconds just to answer that and let us know. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that, guys, but it's actually 50-50. So half the people in here have, half the people in here haven't. Okay, so Aisling, I don't know if that's any use to you for the rest of your session, but you can see with some people who are maybe used to applying for funding and some people that haven't yet. So I'll hand over to you, Aisling, and let you work away.
Brilliant. Okay, guys, thanks for giving up your evening for this. Won't be here too long, I hope. So I'm briefly going to go through kind of funding and what resources are available to clubs, and at the end there'll be a questions opportunity as well. So any questions you have, fire away then. So in relation to funding itself, I suppose there's two real forms or two real streams that we go down for funding. So there's the monetary funding that we all like to get, so the euros into our bank accounts, and then there's the effort, time, expertise and support. So both of those go hand in hand, and they're really, really important for supporting the clubs. And that effort, time, expertise and support, that can be those people, as Niall has said, that have already got funding. There are people who are serial funding appliers, I suppose, in clubs, and are really, really good at it and are brilliant at getting money and being able to look for the funding that's available, and also what information needs to go into it and the amount of paperwork that goes with it too. So that effort and time and expertise from people within your own club, and asking people in the community that you know are very good at that or work in a certain area to support your club, is exactly what you'll want. So the monetary wise is grants and sponsorship and all of those. So we're going to go through some that are available at the moment, and things that clubs need to do in order to be successful, hopefully, for those grants and sponsorship ones. So
yeah, just before we go on to the next slide as well, we've got a wee poll for you again, and this is around local sports partnerships or local councils, and it's just to let us know, have you, if I can get it up here now, just it'll be on your screen in a wee second as well. So have you met with anyone in your local sports partnership or someone from your local council in the last while as well? So it should be up on your screens there now. Let us know if you've met with anyone in your local sports partnership. Okay, we're just waiting for the last few to come in. There we go, and I suppose I'll share that with you now. I don't know if you can see that, Aisling, but most haven't. Okay, so I suppose that's not too surprising to you, is it?
No, not at all. And it's probably good in that at least I'm here going to give you some new information. So I suppose the local sports partnerships, there's a sports partnership in every county in the south. So and there's a couple of extra in Dublin as well. So the role of the sports partnership overall is to increase participation in sport and to ensure that local resources are used to best effect. And some outcomes, our main outcomes that we have are club development. So we support different clubs in developing their structures, their training and education needs, growing their club, setting up a new club, how to start from scratch, all of those, and we kind of help with all the building blocks that need to be in place before you start. Volunteer training and education. As clubs start, they can grow so fast that you don't have enough volunteers or you need more training and things. So that element. Enhanced planning of sport at local level. I suppose that doesn't necessarily apply to the clubs, but we would help from, say, we would be involved with county councils on planning sports in a regional basis, and the development of that. Local directories of sports bodies and facilities will be hosted in the sports partnerships. Then there's a school, club, community and national governing body links. So in my role as a coordinator for sports partnership, I would work quite closely with a number of national governing bodies. Also, it's that link between clubs and schools and community groups. So we would work a lot with trying to get coaches involved in other areas, the people who are playing maybe in community groups or playing sport or playing it in schools. How do we harness them and get them back into the club structure? And then increased levels of participation, especially amongst specific target groups. So we have a certain cohort of target groups that we're going after, I suppose. And some of these are really relevant to ladies football clubs. So our overall ones are older adults. Then girls and women are a specific target group, which is your entire target audience almost. Then people with disabilities, then unemployed people, and those who live in identified disadvantaged communities. So they're all the areas that we try and target ourselves as a sports partnership. So the support for the sports partnerships, or the LSPs, we're guided by the National Physical Activity Plan. So that's the national plan that decides where the government money goes and who it's spent on and who our target groups are. So the main action areas that are relevant to ladies football clubs under that plan will be Action Area 2, which is children and young people, and Action Area 6, sport and physical activity in the community. So you're hitting to the core of both of those action areas. So it's really important to be aware of that. For those funding applications you're putting together, it needs to target Action Area 2 or Action Area 6. And it's really, really important to highlight that. We're trying to, I suppose, make it as easy as possible for people to give funding to your club. So if you can already supply them with this information, that you're going to tick those boxes, and that for a sports partnership, you're going to tick the box of women and girls and training and education, that's a huge bonus for you as a club going looking for funding and support. Sports partnerships generally make funding applications every year in November. So if your club has a project that's going to get more people active and interested in sport and physical activity, I would advise you to contact them, organise to meet one of the development officers or the coordinator, and they might have something ready to go that they can slot you into as well when they're applying for their funding. The sports partnerships have previously supported clubs that have taken part in Gaelic for Girls, Gaelic for Mothers and Others, Gaelic for Teens, and minor grant equipment and things like that. So if anybody here has taken part in Gaelic for Girls, Gaelic for Mothers, or Gaelic for Teens before, it's really, the sports partnerships know what those programs are because we work so closely with national and governing bodies, and ladies football have given presentations at our national meetings about those programs and the huge success that there has been out of them. So a number of the sports partnerships have taken those programs on and are helping clubs and giving them funding or coaching support or different course support, training and education, because they are taking part in them, because they're identified programs that they know work. So it's really easy for them to support those programs. Ideally, sports partnerships would like to fund training for club coaches who would then link maybe back to the local schools for development purposes. So sustainability is the name of the game, really. So they want everything that if they give funding to send people on coaching courses or they give equipment and things, they want it to be not just put away in a press or whatever and left there. We really want things to be used and to be sustainable. How do we keep these people involved? The huge dropout level at teenage level, things like your Gaelic for Teens is trying to plug that hole. So it's a really good one for us to get in behind and support, and that we can then help to roll out countywide. There's also Healthy Ireland funding, which a number of the LSPs are involved with. So Healthy Ireland funding has a sports and physical activity part of it. So while you're in contact with your sports partnership, there might be Healthy Ireland funding that they might be able to access for you, or even if it's a case of the disability area that you're trying to make your grounds or your coaches or your teams more accessible and more inclusive for everybody, that's a really good one for under Healthy Ireland as well. And also, just when I'm on the disability element, the sports partnerships themselves, every sports partnership now has what's called a SIDO. So it's a Sports Inclusion Disability Officer. So that person's sole role is to help clubs become more inclusive, to see opportunities for people with disabilities to get involved in clubs and all that kind of stuff. So just something that might be of interest to people going forward. So the types of training education that we deliver the safeguarding courses along with the NGBs. There's sports first aid, which is 1-day workshop, which we deliver. Coaching children is a Coaching Ireland course that's delivered through the sports partnerships as well. And it's a really basic introductory. So as we're bringing 1 year to a close and as we're starting up, hopefully back training next year, if you found that you've harnessed maybe some more adults or parents who have never traditionally been involved with the sport, this is the course. This is a really good course for them. It's delivered by excellent tutors. It is delivered in your club, in your area, and they come to you and they kind of, it's a real supportive way of how to get involved in coaching, taking the first step. It's especially, you know, female coaches are less likely to step forward as well. So a course like this might be really, really nice to start with them. Disability inclusion training, as I said, and the next point is the autism and sport training. So disability inclusion training is a 1-day course, and it's how to adapt different skills and drills for different types of disability you might come across. And then the autism and sport course, which is one of our most popular courses, is a 2.5 to 3 hour workshop. And it's specifically around autism and sport. And it's becoming so much more prevalent. And even parents who have autistic children really want to get them involved in different sports and physical activity. So this is a really good way of, if your club were to take part in that course, you can actively then tell people, well, we have how many number of coaches that have gone through this autism specific course. We now feel more competent and confident to deliver our training to people who are on the autism spectrum. And it's delivered by people who are really experts in their field and are really, really good. It's an excellent course to take part on. And then Sport Leader is just another one that can be run through your club or through a couple of clubs together. It's kind of for teenagers, getting them back into how they might start coaching and how they might start refereeing, and also managing things like mini blitzes and things like that. And it's a lovely course as well. And that's actually has a certificate, it's a certified course as well, which is really important. So it would go towards, you know, if they're doing college applications or if they're doing GASHCA awards or anything like that, it's a really strong one to have done with them.
Yeah, thanks very much for the overview on the LSPs there, Aisling. And I suppose we've just added in a wee slide here or two with, I know we have a number of different people from a number of different counties, so I've sort of put them up on the screen now with the contact number and the email address for each different sports partnership as well. So you can see just over the next 2 slides. Is there anything else? You can see at the top of the screen there, there's a website and you can find all LSP contact details on there. Is there anything else to add about LSPs before we move on, Aisling?
No, I do think at the moment they're looking for new and innovative ways to get people active. And the other thing is, I'd say don't be afraid to contact them, let them know you're there, who you are and all that kind of stuff. And they might have something that they're looking for a club to link with as well. So it's definitely worthwhile. And they all have mailing lists and things that they'll send out information about club grants, about community grants, about all of those kind of things. So, and courses and things. So they're all on social media. Most of them are on Instagram or Facebook, but also get onto their mailing list because it's really, really, really good information and things that they can provide.
Yeah, thanks very much. And you can see just at the bottom here, at the bottom of that list again, guys. I'm not sure if we have anyone from the north on. I think I'm the only one tonight. But you can see there we've got the different councils as well. Also should have someone responsible for this as well. So if you want to link into them, it's usually just a generic email. Should it be leisure and sport or something like that there? You'll find it on the council website. So I thought we'd add that in as well, just in case there is anyone from the north who wants to look into it too. Because although there's no LSPs in the north, there should be someone in the council who is looking after that as well. I suppose moving on now, Aisling, to funding.
So these are just a couple of different types of funding that are available to clubs. I'm going to, sports capital grants are there, but I was saying to Niall earlier, I'm just going to leave that till the end, and we'll touch on it then on the questions part. I'll do a part around that. That's basically capital grants for clubs and anybody who wants to increase physical activity in sport in the country. But timing of this is very good. 2 days ago, on Monday, I think, they just announced a new round of sports capital that's going to run. The registration deadline, it's open now. The registration deadline is the 1st of February and the application deadline is the 12th of February 2021. So I'm going to do that just at the end. So I'll go through the rest because that's very specific kind of a grant. So the other thing is leader funding. So leader funding is done through the county councils. So it's a fund mainly for large capital projects, but just to be aware of it, that, you know, if you are based in the middle of a town or a village, that this might be something you'd be able to tie into. It targets specifically vulnerable people with mental health issues, females, travelling community members, and people with disabilities. And then there's community grants as well. So community grants are, so there's many different grant streams available. Sports partnerships also have their small grant scheme. Most of the sports partnerships have advertised, they all advertise it at different times. So that's why I'm saying get onto the mailing list now, and you'll know when the sports partnership grant schemes come out. They're usually for small things, but it's a decent fund, and there's a lot of opportunity there. Local authority community grants. Most of the local authorities do community grants, and they usually do them at the start of the year. So the grant applications usually come out in January, February, and then they assess them, and they're usually given out in April. There's a sports part on most of them, so ring your local authority and the community section and just ask to be put on the mailing list to be known when those applications are open. And everybody especially likes to support weaker clubs, or clubs in disadvantaged areas, or clubs targeting minority groups. So if you've any of those things, it's really important to really make that evident to the people who are going to be assessing these applications. Because if you think about the amount of applications people get in, you can't presume that they know what your club is or what your group are. Community grants usually are between about €500 to €2,000. Not earth-shattering amounts of money, but definitely money that when we don't have it right now, you're looking for it. It's a decent amount of work that is taken in fundraising to raise that kind of money. So definitely worthwhile getting onto all of those mailing lists and things. So this is just a small bit about the Ulster Grants for any Ulster clubs that there are around here. So the statutory, so the government departments like the Executive Office, the Health, Education Department, Department of Communities, and the local district councils. There's also the European Peace Funding. And I know myself and Niall had talked, and some of the counties that are bordering the north also get these. So kind of Donegal, I know a few clubs have gotten money through that through that funding opportunity. Then there's the voluntary ones. So there's the independent grant making trusts and foundations like the Garfield Weston, John Moore's, SB Fairbairn, and then there's one called Awards for All. So it's a small grants program. It's delivered by the National Lottery Community Fund. So that fund, which involves people in their communities, bringing them together to enjoy a wide range of charitable community, education, environmental and health related activities. So usually the grants, as I say, between £300 and £10,000. Then there's another Everybody Active. So Everybody Active 2020 is strand 4. So it's a small grant program again, which is aimed at supporting the delivery of grassroots community-based sports activities. So exactly what all of you guys are doing. The program aims to prioritise investments in sports clubs, community groups and governing bodies of sport, especially those based in areas of high social need again. So, and also it's women and girls, specifically 14 to 25. So it's a huge area of the whole dropout thing. All these grant schemes are really starting to be aimed at preventing this dropout. And people with disabilities and the inclusion of them in your clubs. How to make it easier for your clubs to be more inclusive and cater for everybody. And those living in areas of greatest social need. The Community Relations or Cultural Diversity Fund, so that's up to £10,000, but usually between 2,000 and 500 is delivered. And then there's the Community Development, up to £10,000. So invest in local communities by supporting initiatives that contribute to community integration and sport and leisure opportunities.
Yeah, thanks very much for that again, Aisling. And I suppose the point of the last number of slides was just to, I suppose, show you is that no matter north or south, there's any number of grant aid opportunities available there, and it's about just keeping. I suppose, Aisling, you looked and you did a bit of research for this, and you found all these, but it's just you don't know what's available in your local area. So keep an eye on the local council websites, and also, as Aisling said, get yourself on the mailing lists. I know we do keep an eye on different grants that are available, and we do send them to county boards and county executives and your county secretaries. So again, get on to them and see if they can send you on any information about grants available to yourselves and your counties as well. There we go. Aisling, over to you again.
And what to be aware of when applying. And I just, in the where we are now at the moment, there was the COVID grants as well that are closed now, but I hope some people did apply for them and got funding through them, and information on that would have been sent out through all of the LSPs on it. I know it would have been sent through Ladies Football as well, but as Niall said, sometimes it's difficult to get the information down because it was quite a quick turnaround on those grants. I think there was only 2 weeks or something like that on it. So it is important to be on a couple of the different mailing lists, that you will get the information as soon as possible and you won't miss the deadline. Because the COVID grants did go to a lot of clubs, and it was for a very specific thing, but hopefully people got it. So what to be aware of when applying. So the LGFA and GAA are two different governing bodies. So that's really important. We work together, but for the purpose of grant applications, you're a different club if you have a different bank account. So just be aware of that, and find out, if you don't know already, if you're one of the one club model, if you're the together one, or if you are a standalone, LGFA club and a GAA club. It will benefit the GAA part of your club as well, in that you can put in, you're both putting separate clubs with separate NGBs, so you can put in two separate applications. LGFA clubs should apply for grants, especially small grants. Really, I can't stress that enough. There is money out there. We just need to apply for it, and we need to get all of our ducks in a row, I suppose. So make it clear to the assessing team if the club accounts work independently. So don't presume that if you write LGFA that the person assessing your application will know that you're a separate club to the GAA club. People assessing it have got hundreds, maybe thousands of applications, so make it as easy as possible. So read the criteria for applying. The minimum is usually a club bank account or statement dated within the last 3 months, signed club constitution, which is the national constitution, your booklet, your national governing body membership, and elected officers in place. So you just need to have all of that, and there's no reason that can't be ready now, ready to go. Larger grants will require more information. So they might need planning permission, they might need proof of ownership or a lease agreement, might need a loan offer proof, own match funding and usage agreements. No. So it's usually favourable if there are partnerships involved, i.e. linking with a school maybe, or a local community group when applying for grants, and sometimes it is a requirement, but just, if somebody else accesses your grounds or are going to be using your equipment, mention that on the application, because there might be points awarded to sharing of things. Read the full application form and all supporting documentation prior to applying. I know that sounds very obvious, but going back to the Sports Capital Grant, and I'll say it again later, in the 2018 one, I think it was, either 2017, 2018, every single valid application that was submitted got some source of funding. So they might have got 50% of what they applied for, but every single valid application got money. So all people had to do was have all the right supporting documentation and be a person who is allowed to apply by the criteria and put in their application. So it's really, really important just for everyone to know that, I suppose. But things need to be got in order beforehand. So reading an application like this the day or 2 days before applying, you won't get the benefit of it. So it needs to be read the minute it comes out, so you know what you need to order from possibly banks or getting a supporting letter from the LGFA or whatever it is. So be specific about what you want, why you want it, and what benefit it is going to have on your members and possibly the wider community. So don't leave it until the last day to submit your application, and have various projects prepared in advance for different sums of money to submit as they arise, i.e. up to €500, up to €2,000, up to €10,000, and over 10,000 for large capital. So if we were doing this in real life, I would give you all 4 pages of paper as a club, and you'd figure out, right, if I got a grant of €500, what would I be using that for? If I got one of 2,000, what would I be getting that for? And 10,000 as well. It's really good for you to know what fits into what grant, so that when it comes, you know, well, we have this already ready to go for a €10,000 grant, and we have this ready to go for a €500 grant, and they're all valid and they're all worthwhile. So it's a lot of the work is done already, and that can all be done right now, you know, online over Zoom and stuff like that, while we have a little bit of time. And it's a really worthwhile exercise that for even half an hour as a club, you just organise the committee meeting and go through those 4 specific things. And then you might realise that you don't want to apply for grants if they only have €2,000, if they only have whatever amount it is. And then the last part, planning and application. So why do you want the funding? This is the first thing. What need, issue, problem has been highlighted that this funding is going to fix? Number 2, what will the programme entail? So who will be targeted, what and who will benefit, and when? So what's the timeline on it? Is this a 3-month project? Is it a 2-week project? Is it a 3-year project? Number 3, how will you deliver it? So what activities, what people, what resources are you applying with other clubs or groups or community groups? So you should know that prior to putting in the application, and have it and include it on it. Number 4, a cost breakdown. Realistically, how much is this going to cost you? If it's large things, you need to get some quotes together, and maybe now you don't know how you want a running track around your pitch, you don't know how much that costs. Just because there's not a grant available for that right now, you need to be getting those quotes and things together, so you have a ballpark of how much those projects are going to cost. Number 5, considerations. What challenges will your club face in achieving your goal? So if I was to turn up and say, here's €10,000 for your application, you have your 10% match funding, so you have €11,000 in total, what challenges are going to stop you from fulfilling it by the end date of December 2021? So highlight those prior to starting anything, so that you know in advance, I need to bring this up with the department or whoever it is in advance. So if you get all of those things done, hopefully you have a very strong grant application, I would think, put together.
Yeah, I suppose that brings us to the end of the presentation, Aisling, but I know you were going to give us a bit more on capital funding.
Yeah, so I might just, so sports capital grants were announced there on Monday. So they're open again. So there is a minimum of €40 billion out there for sports and physical activity groups. So the idea of this is that it will increase physical activity is the overall part of it. Very relevant to ladies clubs because there's an equipment element in it. You can apply for equipment of up to €50,000, and if it's maintenance equipment, it can be €30,000. So an equipment grant means you don't have to own your land, you don't have to own anything to apply for the equipment grant, you just have to have your match funding in place. So basically, as I said earlier, in the 2017 ones, every single valid application put in got funding. So it's kind of, I would really emphasize for people to really try and get an application together and put it in. I know a lot of you probably are putting it in maybe jointly with the GA club possibly, but even that, make sure you're listed as a joint partner if you are 2 separate clubs, because it is 2 separate groups applying. On it, so the registration, so it's open now. The registration closing date is the 1st of February 2021. The application closing date is the 12th of February 2021. The maximum that a club can apply for is €150,000. And as I said, the equipment grants are a max of 50,000, and if it's maintenance equipment, a max of 30,000. I would encourage, so you have to have 5% match funding is the other thing. So you have to have 5% match funding that you're able to come up with in order for your application to be valid. If you can prove that you have slightly more match funding than 5%, you will get more points on your application. I would see from a ladies football kind of point of view to think outside the box as much as you can. Things like your local school. Is there a pitch in your primary school or secondary school that's maybe a full-size pitch and doesn't have lights on it? There's a potential here that you could apply for the lights on that pitch and have a usage agreement between your club and the school, because schools and colleges are not allowed to apply for this on their own. They have to link with a sports club, which is a really good part of the application. It means that schools and colleges and things can't get money out of the sports capital, which is for community sports groups, and then lock their gates at 3 o'clock and not let anybody in. So to develop their grounds in their area, they might have the land, but might not have the finances. Whereas you have people who want to use these resources at the evenings and in the weekend. So you might be able to do something with them. It might even be the pitch development of it slightly more. As I say, it could be putting a small astro pitch into your primary school area or something that they have access to during the day, but your club gets to use for training in the evening and weekends. So you would have to have a lease agreement between you and you would apply for it jointly. But that's a real opportunity for especially ladies football clubs, because you don't have to own the land. So the other agency owns the land. So as I say, there are 6 areas as well that they assess these on. So they're assessed on the likelihood of increasing participation and improving performance. Number 2 is the sharing of facilities. So something like, if you link with other clubs, that you can share facilities. If you're linking with schools or ETBs, you're sharing facilities, you're going to get extra points for that. A level of socio-economic disadvantage in the area. So I sent Niall a link. He's going to forward it on to everyone here after this, maybe, Niall. It's called the Pubble Deprivation Index. If you just Google it, you'll find it. So it will show you what level of deprivation are in your area. So you just take the number of -3 or whatever it is off of it, and then you put that into your application. So you're making it really, really easy for them to know that you are a disadvantaged area or you're not, or whatever. So the technical merits of the project is number 4. Then number 5, level of own funding available. So as I say, it's a minimum of 5% match funding, but if you could show you a 10% match funding, you get more points on that section. And then the level of funding you have received over the past 10 years as well. So it depends. If you receive funding maybe in the last 2 or 3 years, you might not get as much points. But if you're a club who has never received any funding, you'll probably get more points awarded around that. And on theirs, they even have listed that, so the common mistakes for applicants was basically their own funding, that they didn't include a copy of their bank statements to prove their own funding, applications not started on time, wrong documents uploaded, and that the title or the access to the land wasn't included. So they have all the templates and everything in the application. If you go on to Gov, if you Google search Sports Capital Grants 2020, it comes up. It's on a gov.ie website. But it's, as I say, I think it's really important for people to apply for these and put it together, put applications together. So if you have any questions around that, you can, there's a question there, can I ask what you mean by match funding when referred to in relation to equipment grant? So you still have to have 5% match funding. So whatever you're applying for equipment, you still have to have 5% of that in your bank account. So €100, you have to have €5.
Yeah, okay, thanks for that, Aisling. And I know there was a few other questions come in when people were registering, but I think a lot of them have been answered in tonight's session. You can see there is a Q&A button, and there's also a chat. So if anyone does have any questions, you can write them in here now. But if not, I'd just like to thank Aisling. That was very informative tonight, and you know, you've really showed us your expertise there, Aisling. So thanks very much, and thank you for everyone else been involved as well.
Brilliant.